Hello and welcome to Piers Premier Apartments. I'm Tim Piers, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Amethyst Apartment. Now, ordinarily when you come to visit us, I would meet you outside the apartment and I would give you the keys, and then I would give you a short tour of the apartment just so you could find out where everything is and how everything works. Obviously in this age of the pandemic, that's not an option, so instead we're filming these short videos for you to have a little look around and learn everything I would ordinarily tell you. A few things to go before I start. This video isn't really intended to be an advert, it's more of an infomercial if you like, but if you should happen to find it on YouTube anyway and weren't originally planning to stay with us, you should find links in the video description to our website where you can make a booking inquiry and get contact phone numbers, which will also be displayed at the end of the video. Now, another thing to say, normally when I meet you outside the apartment I would be suited and booted or dressed to the nines as it were. Right now, well, it's a bit about a 2 I think. So if you catch sight of me in any mirrors as we go around and you think that guy looks extremely scruffy, you're quite correct. But if I were to see you outside the apartments I would be far better presented. Okay, moving on to the tour. So we're currently standing in the entrance lobby of Amethyst, which is its own self-contained area. So we have the front door just behind me here. And the first thing to have a look at is your electric trip switch box up here in the corner. So this has electric trips for all the various devices in the apartment. If any of those trips pop out, it is entirely safe for you to pop them in again, but please do let us know that you had to do it because it suggests something needs some maintenance. If you're not happy touching them for any reason, please don't hesitate to give us a call and someone will come out and have a look at it for you. So, moving on into the main part of the apartment. So as you can see, Amethyst, like the other two apartments, is largely open plan. So here we have a lounge area, and then beyond that the kitchen area, and the stairs to my left, which lead up to the bedroom and bathroom. Now, one thing to point out is in Amethyst, in the downstairs part of the apartment, you will not see any heaters. And the reason for that is they're underfloor, so we're currently standing on them. So at the moment, it being one of the hottest days of the year, talking about heating seems a little perverse. But nonetheless, if you should wonder where it is, that's why you can't find it. On a related subject, on the wall here, just behind this lamp, you'll find the thermostat control, which is currently displaying 27 degrees, because as I said, this is one of the warmest days of the year so far. And you have these two controls here which will change the target temperature for the heating. So if it's already warm it won't make any real difference, and that display will only show the target temperature whilst you're adjusting it. So as soon as you finish touching it, it will go back to displaying the current temperature. So if you press the buttons and nothing immediately seems to be happening, don't worry, it's just that the heating needs a little while to catch up. We don't have air conditioning in here, so at the moment changing the thermostat isn't going to make a lot of difference to anything. Now, this understair cupboard here contains a few bits and pieces we should have a look at. In here we've got the mop, bucket, ironing board, various cleaning supplies, and also in that black plastic sack you will find the upholstery for the outdoor garden furniture, or to be more accurate, a cushion. We don't expect you to vacuum up and mop the floors after you when you leave, but the supplies are there just in case you feel the need to do so, or in case of any accidents or spillages during your stay. Moving on now to the main living area, of the downstairs lounge of the apartment. As you can see, you have your reclining sofa and armchair here. And on the wall facing them is the television, which is also connected to a skybox and a Blu-ray player. So these televisions are 4K Ultra HD smart televisions, so they can support the BBC iPlayer, Netflix, YouTube, various other on-demand services. Okay, so having a quick look at the TV remote. In order to access the smart features of these televisions, you will need to press the home button, which is situated right in the middle of the remote there. It looks like a little house. That will take you to what's called the Blade interface, from which you can access YouTube, BBC iPlayer, etc. Now on the left of that button, you'll see there's a dedicated Netflix button on these remote controls. That will work, it will take you into Netflix. We have an account set up for the apartments. The only thing to bear in mind is that everything you see on there as regards recommendations, or what it claims you're already watching, will be based on everyone who's previously stayed in the apartments and will be quite strange. So unless it looks interesting, it's probably best ignored. Now we do ask, because of the limitations to a Netflix account, that you only use one screen at any given time for Netflix in the apartments, so either the downstairs one or the upstairs one. Now one more thing to mention with the smart features of these televisions, and a good example is the Amazon Prime button just there. A lot of apps on these televisions have a lot of what you might call in-app purchases, so the Prime app will let you buy video on demand, for example. Those apps will be locked out by a PIN code, because obviously if you were to use them, you'd have to enter your card details or your Amazon account details, and the TV would remember them, so the next guest would be able to access your account. So we've locked those out by a PIN. That PIN may also occasionally be needed to update apps that we do normally allow you to use, such as the YouTube app or even Netflix. If that happens, please do give us a call and we will sort that out for you, probably over the phone in most circumstances. Looking back at the rest of the TV setup, with the Skybox, we have everything on there apart from the BT Sport channel at the moment. And the Blu-ray player is simply a Blu-ray player. It's connected to the internet, but only so it can access updates to itself. It does claim to be able to do things like YouTube, but the TV handles that a lot better. So just let the smart television deal with all your multimedia needs and let the Blu-ray player stick to playing Blu-rays, please. Now on the wall just next to the AV setup, you will notice this little switch here, which is a dimmer switch for the lights. It's extremely difficult for me to film it and operate it at the same time. And also we're in bright sunlight at the moment, so you can't really tell what's happening anyway. So the best we can do here is to just point the camera at one of the lights, and as you see I can dim it right down or bring it right up again with this dial. Now you might also have noticed that standing just underneath the television here is a tower fan. That doesn't usually live there, it usually lives in one of the upstairs cupboards. It's been brought down because it's such a warm day. So if it's not there, I'll show you where to look for it in a little while. One final thing to note with the television, just up and behind it here, you can see a little white device popping up from behind the television. That is your wireless access point. So you have free wireless networking throughout the apartment that can handle high definition streaming, video calling, anything you might want to do. In order to use that, obviously, you need the wireless access password. Because you're in an apartment called Amethyst, you'll be looking for a network called Amethyst. And on the back of the business card here, which I'm not going to show you for obvious security reasons, is written the password you'll need. That password will be all uppercase with no spaces. Whilst we're here, you may also notice this folder next to the business card. That contains useful information as well as the basic instructions for all of the various pieces of equipment, such as the cooker, the television, that sort of thing. But if you do need any more help with any of that equipment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Now, as we reach the kitchen area, we also come to the garden door. So we'll have a little look at that. In finest Blue Peter tradition, I have prepared it earlier by leaving the key in it. So as you can see, the key you need for this door is the one with 3 little notches cut in it. And you open the door on the left hand side first. Here we are now in the back garden of the apartments. Now if the filming at this point gets a little rough, it's because the sun's so bright I can't actually see my preview screen. So I'm having to largely guess what I'm filming at this point. Unfortunately, whilst we are 4-star apartments, we are distinctly 2-star when it comes to our video equipment. So apologies for that. Nonetheless, hopefully, what I'm filming here is a fairly good overview of the back garden. So in the middle here, we have our lawn, which, as you may have guessed from the fact it's still bright green despite the very warm, dry weather, is fake. It's quite a good fake, but nonetheless. Over there, by the gate, which is the access that the Emerald apartment will be using in lieu of the front door in the current situation, you have our bins, which are behind that low fence. So you have waste bins and recycling bins there. And you'll also notice that the patio is divided up by these low walls. So this section just here is for Amethyst, and then you have the sections for Sapphire and Emerald over there. Obviously at the moment we do ask you to respect social distancing, stay on your own area of the patio for all possible, and obviously avoid coming too close to other people if you use the shared areas such as the lawn, the gazebo cum smoking shelter, or the rose garden secluded round the corner there. If you should happen to be a smoker, just by the door you will find, and I really don't know if I'm filming it or not at the moment, but I think I am, you will find a pot which is designed to take your cigarette butts. Please, no smoking in the apartment. Now, one thing to mention now we've come back inside from the garden, this particular lock has a little bit of a personality. Usually you can just push the handle up and lock it to engage. If that doesn't work, sometimes you have to push it down first, then up, and that will operate the mechanism correctly. Now we'll take a quick look at the kitchen and the available facilities. So as you can see, you have a microwave and a conventional oven and grill there, as well as a cooking hob with extractor hood. And you may notice in the corner there, the fridge and freezer are poking out of a cupboard. They have that in common with the other appliances. So if we look over here by the sink, for example, in this cupboard here we have the dishwasher with supplies for that in the little bag, and in this cupboard here at the far end we have your washing machine, again with a bag of supplies just there. In this set of drawers underneath the hob, if we look in the top one, along with various cutlery and crockery, you will find an emergency torch. So that's in there. In the event of a power cut, you can get that out and pump the handle because it's friction operated, and that will provide you with light. Obviously, like everything else in the apartments, if you don't need to use it, please try to avoid touching it. It does make things a little safer, although we will of course clean everything in the apartment thoroughly and leave 3 days between guests as well to make things as safe as possible. Now, on a related note, in this cupboard here at the end, underneath your bread bin, you'll notice at the bottom there is a storage box. Now the apartment is still fully equipped with cutlery, crockery and other utensils, but some of the extra equipment which we would usually put in case you might have a day visitor or such like is in that box, basically so we know you haven't touched it and therefore it doesn't need to be fully sterilised. If you do need to use anything that's in that box, there are instructions written on the lid for how to go about doing that, which will obviously tell you not to put them back in the box and ideally only to open the box once. But hopefully in most cases you won't need anything that's left in there. Now opposite the fridge door is this door which leads to the downstairs washroom. A quick look in here. This is a fairly basic washroom. You just have your sink and your toilet and very little else. The impressive one is the one that's upstairs, which we'll go and have a look at in just a moment. Now it's time for us to go up the stairs and have a look at the bedroom and the bathroom areas. I'm not going to try and climb the stairs whilst filming. They are somewhat steep. Please do use the banister provided. So we'll be back in just a moment by the magic of editing. And here we are at the top of the stairs. So let's take a look at the bedroom and bathroom and at me. No way we can avoid that, unfortunately. Now the bed obviously will be made when you come. If you happen to have already watched the video for Emerald or Sapphire, you might remember that the beds in those units can be split into two. That is not the case for this one, although it does have two sections you can see there. There simply isn't the room to split it. So in this apartment we cannot split this bed into two singles. But that should have been made clear to you when you booked anyway. Now for the lights here, we have the main switch on the wall there on the left, but also to either side of the headboard we have a conventional light switch, and on the other side, beautifully blocked from our view by a lampshade, bear with me. On the other side of the bed there, just tucked in there, is the dimmer switch for the light switch. I won't demonstrate because as we've already seen it would be somewhat futile on this very bright sunny day. But nonetheless, there's your dimmer switch. So as you can see in this apartment the TV is mounted on a wall arm, so you would normally have it at a slightly different angle to that. And underneath it you can just see the skybox peeking out. That does work fine with the remote control despite the angle. Now these TVs are exactly the same upstairs and downstairs, so this is still a 4K internet connected smart TV that's connected to the internet by wire, so it can still handle up to 4K resolution streaming. Bearing in mind of course the limitations on you only using one or the other screen for Netflix at any one time that I mentioned earlier. Continuing to look around the upstairs bedroom, which as you can see is entirely open plan. There's the top of the stairs and the entrance to the bathroom, which we'll get to in just a moment. In those drawers there you will find the second emergency torch, and in this cupboard, we go and have a quick look at it. You'll find a self-heating clothes rack which you can use to dry any towels or anything else you might want to dry off. This is also where that freestanding tower fan we were looking at earlier would usually live. Moving on now to the bathroom. So this dimmer switch just outside controls the lighting, and for once we can actually see the effect because the bathroom has a rather smaller window. You can see the lights coming up and down as I turn it. We'll leave it up for now. Now above the door you will see an override switch, and that override switch is for the extractor fan which will be coming on as we walk in. There we go. And there I am again. So, in this one, unlike Emerald and Sapphire, the bathroom in Amethyst is a little smaller. So we have an all-in-one shower and spa bath here. And unlike those in the main house apartments, this one does not have a lighting system. But it does still have massage jets and the control there for the main water. That control will open and close the plug. On the inside of the bath here we have the water jet controls. The dials control the direction of the jets and the button turns them on and off. We would ask you with these controls, please do not turn the water jets on until the water in the bath has got past the level of the jets, otherwise they will tend to spray water all over the room. And it also doesn't do the pump any favours. In the rest of the bathroom here we have a couple of sinks and of course the unglamorous but critical toilet, and this, which is a radiator cum towel rack. So if you have your towels hanging over that and the heating comes on, they will be warm. Obviously, on a day like this, when the heating is well and truly off, they will be at room temperature. So if you want to warm them up, you will need to use a drying rack and not try and game the system by pumping the heating up far too high, because that will have dramatic consequences. Now we're standing back in the bedroom with the door shut and the extractor fan still running, so you can get some idea of how quiet it is. So as you can hear, it's not especially loud with the door shut, but if it does bother you, the override switch up there will shut it up. But please do turn that switch back on before you use the bathroom and do anything in there that might make steam. So as we take one last look at the lounge area from the kitchen end, that concludes this brief tour of the Amethyst Apartment at Piers Premier Apartments. As always, if you have any problems or questions during your stay, don't hesitate to give us a call. If it's a problem we need to come into the apartment to fix, we may have to ask you to leave for a while whilst we do so in order to maintain social distancing. But many problems can be taken care of through a simple phone call. For Piers Premier Apartments, I've been Tim Piers. Thanks for watching this video, and we hope you have a safe and enjoyable stay with us.